How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. It's Monday. It's the live show. It's the big thing. It's me. It's John Rocha, and we got a lot to talk about, man. So, Inside Out is the first movie to cross $1 billion. It did it. We thought it was going to do it. Well, we thought it was going to do it once it started making the money it was going to make, but it's making $1 billion already after 3 weeks. Insane that it was able to do it. Dune. Now, some people think that there's an announcement that Denis Villeneuve is going to do another movie. He's going to start production. It's going to come out in December 2026 for Warner Brothers. And everyone's like, well, it's Dune Messiah. Some people say, no, it's not Dune Messiah. But some people think it's Dune Messiah. And it's coming out the same day as the Star Wars movie. Now, if it is Dune Messiah, should Star Wars get out of the way? Or should Dune say, maybe we're not going to do this one in general? And not do that particular date. Cobra Kai has a new trailer out, the final season. That's part one of the trailer out, so we'll discuss that. There's this thing that we covered on Capes and Cowls, but it broke on John's show, so I figured we talk about the Russos basically been told to go scratch their rear ends by Marvel. Why? What happened there? So that's just one of the many stories that we'll be talking about today. And you guys are throwing in your comments. You're putting in the super chats already. I see it. The way it works on Mondays is that John and I go through all the topics, and then by the time that we're done with the topics, we go through all the super chats. So start throwing them in now. We'll get to all of them. It is myself. It is John Rocha. It is the big thing. Let's do it. Everybody, welcome back. It is myself, Kristian Harloff, and this gentleman here, the outlaw John Rocha. What's up, John? How you doing?
What's up, dude? What's going on? Monday morning.
Hello. How was the weekend?
It was fun. It was busy. It was a lot of house cleaning.
Oh.
We have gotten a new car, so we're breaking in our new car, which is a whole technological marvel.
Yep.
I haven't had a car in 10 years, a new car in 11 years.
Oh, wow.
So It's all like the old man figuring out what all these buttons do type of thing.
Yeah. But what'd you get?
We got a Kia Sportage hybrid.
You talked about it. I also got a hybrid.
Oh, what'd you get?
I got oh my God, I can't. My brain is so fried. It's the I gotta send you a picture of it.
Was it the Mercedes-Benz Audi?
Definitely not. No, it's a hybrid. But my wife and I'll when I kick in the gear and start thinking, I'll send you exactly what it is. But yeah, it's good. And it's it was getting too complicated because I had to sell one of my cars, because my wife has her car for the kids, and I had my old car, and I sold it to Brett.
Oh, nice.
And but I needed it. I needed something.
Yeah,
driving to work and stuff has been something. So
yeah,
but nonetheless, we had a good weekend. We did some hung out with the kids. There's a lot. There's a lot that goes on to when you're moving into a new place, as you very much well know.
Oh yeah.
And we're dealing with a lot of things. There was like we had a little mouse that showed up in the house to say what's up. That went well with my wife.
That's nice.
Just one, which is good. Then there was a few. We're very kind of nature part right now where we are, and the walks have been wonderful.
Oh, that's nice.
It brings in a lot of. The breeze here is just so nice. But but we had the ants are coming and going. Hey, what are you doing? Can I? You guys, nobody's been here for a little bit. There's food now. Can we come in? We're like, nope, fuck off.
Who are you fuckers?
Yeah. And then what was it? And we had a nice big wasp nest.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So we're within 2 weeks. So the phone calls and texts from the wife have been fun, to say the least.
Remember the old Eddie Murphy bit? Get out. Too bad we can't stay, baby. Too bad we can't stay.
It's like the money pit.
Yeah.
I call it Shelley Long and Tom Hanks at this point. But it's like I tell her, I'm like, it's all right. We're getting it all out of the way right now.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
But
knocking it all out, then we can relax.
No, but she loves it here, so that at least works. But it's been the thing. It's been a thing. All right, we got some stuff to talk about. What do you want to talk about first? You want to get it right into this Dune thing?
Dude, whatever you feel like. You're the boss. Run it, man. I'm good at riding shotgun.
Let's get to the Dune thing. I want to talk about this Dune thing because it's yeah. So Dune. Now the question is, what exactly is going on with this thing? I'm very curious to hear John's thoughts on it, to see how he reads all of it as we read this particular report. For this is Dark Horizons. Garth Franklin. Yesterday came trade reports that Denis Villeneuve is directing an event film for legendary Warner Brothers, and they locked in December 18th, 2026. It's widely thought that the film is going to be Dune Messiah, and now a report from Daniel RPK indicates the production is already locked in August 2025 production start date, and it is indeed the third Dune film. That would seem to confirm it will be Denis' next effort. The filmmaker previously indicated he wanted to do something else before a truckload of money landed in his backyard. Oh, no, that's not what it says. It says something else next before circling back around to Messiah. That is until yesterday, when the trade report suggested he had a change of heart and now wants to complete the trilogy with work ongoing on the script and a cast being locked down. Wow. Questions remain as to how Villeneuve intends to translate the material, the second book being decidedly darker and more downbeat affair that's more talky, weirder, and dismantles any concept of Paul being a hero, but does offer a strong and satisfying conclusion to his arc. Villeneuve also has met his high standard, as he told Empire in March. If we go back, it needs to be real, it needs to be relevant. If I ever do Dune Messiah, it's because it has to be better than part 2. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. All right, so we hear all of that. I don't know. What do you say, John? I mean, my initial thoughts here are, as I joked and was serious at the same time, they offered him a truckload of money and said, come on, man, come on back. Let's do that. That's a given. But I also think you're fresh. And one of the pitches, if I'm putting the truckload of money in his backyard, I'm going, this stuff is so fresh in your mind right now. It's there. You can take time and do something else, but you're in the world. Come back to the world quick, finish it up, get it over with, and let's put together something special. As far as the book being darker and all of that, this is one of those things. As long as it's there, that we've already set up between 1 and 2, that he's created as much of his own world as he's done with Frank's book and everything else. That if you take the blueprint of what's in that book and get the screenwriters to make something really special, I think you can do something in the way that you adapt look what Shogun did. You could just, granted, it was off of source material and other things too. This is based off source material that's not as beloved as the first book, but I think you could probably spin it into something, and I think it's smart. We'll get into the date and all that stuff in a second, but first thoughts.
I bring you the Star Wars sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
One director handling all 3 of them. That's what a lot of people felt was the issue with the sequel trilogy, that there wasn't a game plan for all 3 of these movies to be handled by one person, one through line, not people coming in with different points of view. So I think they look at Warner Brothers Legendary, look at this and like, look, give us one more. As you said, we'll back up the truck. But I also think he has already been planning to do this third one. And I think he wrote the first 2 or adapted the first 2 movies here, Dune 1 and 2, in order to lay the groundwork for what he wants to do in Messiah. So to me, this makes all the sense in the world. I think this was always the plan. And of course, an artist is always going to leave himself an out, but I think this is always the plan. And it makes all the sense in the world. And this is a franchise that he will be attached to for the rest of his career. And if he knocks all 3 of these out of the park, which I would argue he's already knocked the first 2 out of the park, then he is leaving a hell of a legacy for himself, for when he passes on and future generations, and showing you that these books can be adapted. And I also think with Messiah, I think you're right. He's going to look at Messiah, see what works, what doesn't work, what fits for the tastes nowadays, and adjust the story to fit that. Look at The Boys. The Boys has been so successful adapting what had been a bit of a troublesome comic book in nowadays eyes, from back then, and made it work. So I think he can do the same thing with Messiah, because he did an incredible job adapting the Dune story into those 2 movies. So why would I doubt him in being able to adapt this thing correctly?
Yeah, the adaptation scares me less than, and then somebody brought up a point. Well, maybe maybe they should have waited because the time jump with the characters, and I understand the argument there. But the only thing with that is, you got to look at it in the business side of it, is that people forget things really fast, and you're riding a high with Dune right now. That if you can get Dune in, because this one comes out, this one March of 2024 is supposed to come out in 2023. If you can get essentially 2.5, 3 years, you can get another one in the theater, and you can go head to head with Star Wars, which we'll discuss in just a moment here. This is Warner Brothers being able to put their dukes up and going, hey, I think we have the actual science fiction franchise that people really want to see, and we're willing to put our dukes up and say, let's do it. If it is Dune Messiah, and if it is something that, and I just watched, it's so funny because I had Dan Merle and I had this whole conversation at the live event, because I obviously went and saw Dune 2 in the theater,
right?
But I was on the plane coming to New York, and one of the movies I wanted to watch was Dune. It was a 3-hour movie. It was going to pass the time, and I also wanted to see. I'm like, I know I love this movie and the spectacle that it is in the theater.
Right? Am I right in loving this
movie? How am I gonna? Is it gonna be just as good without all without everything that makes it so special? Is it gonna be as good on a plain screen? And the answer was yes, 1,000 times over, yes. Right. And I had gotten to right until like the end of the movie, and then I hadn't seen the final the end yet. So I watched the end of it last night. It's just so damn good, and it is so good. I'm between that and Game of Thrones and Dark Matter, like those are the things right now that I'm responding to. Those types of shows, and more movies. And so when they're saying, and I never in a million years, if you would have told me, because I couldn't stand the Lynch movie, couldn't stand it.
Oh yeah, no, it's terrible. I hate it too. Yeah.
Anyone ever told me? Riley used to tell me all the time, if they ever do Dune right, you'll love it. I'm like, no way. And it was only 10 years ago, if they were like, okay, you can only choose Dune Messiah or the new Star Wars movie. 10 years ago, I'm going, come on, what do you mean ask me this question? Right. I know the answer today. It's Dune Messiah all day long. If it just depends on what Star Wars movie you're putting there.
Yeah.
If you're putting the Mandalorian and Grogu movie there, it might be hard for me to decide.
Maybe, right. Maybe you move it.
Maybe move it. If you're putting the Mangold movie there, depends on what it is. Maybe I move. Maybe I walk into the Star Wars theater. I'm not sure because of that time period.
Who's cast? Right.
But the new the Rey movie, I just don't love the new trilogy that much. And I love Daisy Ridley, but I don't think I'm out of the movies that you're comparing. I'm going to Dune Messiah all day long.
Yeah.
So I think if you're Star Wars, especially when you're going to need a big win there, and it'll be coming up after the Mandalorian, Grogu, I think you move. If you're Star Wars, you either move closer, or you move altogether somewhere else.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. Depends on what Star Wars movie you drop in there to go against this one. And it also depends on, how can I say this? It depends on who you're casting. It depends on what the buzz around it is. And it depends on people's feelings around it. And certainly we're seeing now, again, Kristian, it feels like Last Jedi all over again with everything splintering and fracturing. And who knows what the state of Star Wars is going to be by the time that movie is 6 months out or 4 months out from coming out. And so at that point, certainly Dune 1 and 2 are only going to grow in estimation. And the anticipation for this one is going to grow as people have seen trailers and whatever. So to me, that's the thing when you look at it, is like, well, Star Wars is shaky, Dune is not. So I think Star Wars would have to move unless it's the Mando and Grogu. I would even say even the Mando and Grogu movie, I think Dune would overwhelm that.
I don't know. Grogu can get kids in theaters though.
Yeah.
That's the only
Dune, I know. You're right.
Kids in theaters, Grogu is.
Yeah, I guess.
That's why I wouldn't. I mean, because Grogu.
What's your point? Making the money or making a big footprint for the awards type of situation?
Well, I think that's both, though. I know awards. I mean, no, Star Wars ain't playing for awards. They need the way that they showed it to Iger and everybody else too is that look what we did opening weekend. We knocked the socks off of Dune. We beat Dune opening weekend like we knew we would, because Grogu's selling toys and selling everything that he's going to do, and he's. Grogu was, when everyone said Baby Yoda, you saw news reports of people who didn't know what the hell Star Wars was. It was everywhere. So if that's my other choice of what I would do if I were running Lucasfilm and I go, okay, hey, we haven't said which movies going where yet. Let's move it. Let's change some stuff up here. Let's do May of 2026. Let's do the Rey movie.
Yeah.
which is very risky, and we can go to that in a second. But then let's do the Grogu, and let's see if Dune wants to stick around and fight Grogu. Let's see if he wants to do that. But the problem is with that is that if you put the Rey movie out and it's not good, and you get the same kind of divisive kind of back and forth that you're getting with the Acolyte right now, that could hurt your December release when it comes out also.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. That's
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think because I saw, I mean, we haven't really talked about it with Acolyte. But like I've never gotten as much crap about Star Wars as I've gotten on this last episode, because people, I mean,
from your Star Wars show, you mean?
From when I did a reaction to it, everything too, and it's like I'm not going to just put you and I have discussed this. You get from every single point of view. If you love it, you're a shill. If you hate it, you're a hater. People are like, oh, you're just hating it because it's cool to hate now. I'm like, no, I just don't like the show. Is that okay? But I love that you do. It's great. Right. But like, people just don't want you to either love something they love, or hate something they love, or or love something they hate. They just can't.
There's no middle ground.
They can't deal with it. And like, so we're just watching the show itself. And I as I said, when I watched it originally, and I said this on the show the other day, when I watched it originally, when you have that first kind of initial thought, I was like, this is just, I thought it was the worst of the 5.
Yeah.
But then we watched it, and I have said, no, that was just I think that everything was kind of leading up to it. It's the best of the 5. It is. Yeah. It is when you really look at it. But there's just so much that I'm like, there's so many ridiculous things going on in this show. That is so many questions, and so many, like,
there are still problems with the show.
100%. And I gotta, and like, I know we didn't get to the extent of your argument on it, but I do have an issue with the fact that, like, the way that the haircut thing came about was ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And then the idea that this guy doesn't know, he can't, I mean, unless it's a dupe.
That's what I think. That's what I think.
If it's a dupe and he knows that is her, okay. She has a witch tattoo on her face.
It's right. Literally,
it's on her face.
It's on her forehead.
How do you not know that it's her?
Jerry, it's right there, Jerry.
I mean, come on. What is he doing? Is he a Jedi? I mean, how much wine has he been drinking? So, but you can't have this if you're going to release a movie, your first one. So I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You wonder in the long run what I mean, right? It's so unstable right now, right? And you're just like, well, what's going to stabilize it? How are you going to bring people back to the media? And because I was like initially defending Acolyte because the numbers were there. Like, no, okay, the hate isn't affecting it, but the last 2 weeks, the numbers have gone down. The view minutes have gone down. And I know it's half an hour each episode, but that there's more going on behind those numbers. And that is worrisome. And we'll see if episode 5 now, because of all the hype and a lot of people who were initially down on the show liked this episode, maybe not everything in the episode, but they liked the episode. Maybe that will spur interest back into the numbers for the Acolyte. So we'll see. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean,
if they fit the bed in the next 2 episodes, Kristian, it'll be worse. It'll be worse.
I know that it's got to deliver more so, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. But so I actually want to stick with Star Wars for a second, because speaking of Star Wars and speaking of like fans and things that, like, Joel Edgerton, who of course famously played Uncle Owen.
Yeah.
Where is he? Here he is. So he was talking for, I think it was maybe, I don't know if it was a Dark Matter or what it might have been, but he had an interview and he said something interesting about what Lucasfilm should potentially be doing with the fans. And I think I don't even know what people have said yet about this comment, but I can only imagine. But listen to this. So following the season finale of Dark Matter, which I highly recommend, have you started watching this yet?
Not yet. Give me time.
It was great. I'm
finishing up the Bear. I got to finish up the Bear.
I'm on episode 1 of the Bear. Of season 3.
Okay.
The show's male lead star Joel Edgerton has spoken with the playlist about his life and career, and one of the topics of the conversation was his time in Star Wars. Edgerton played the younger version of Uncle Owen in a brief cameo in the prequel trilogy and reprised it this time in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Speaking about Star Wars fandom and all the joy and baggage that comes with it, Edgerton says that Lucasfilm shouldn't ignore fan voices in the creative process.
Ooh.
He says, there are Star Wars fans who could write a better Star Wars TV show than you can imagine because they've studied it like the Bible and they've imagined all the threads and they know the histories of all the characters. I think it's worth listening to the fans because someone out there is going to go, what if this? And you're going to go, oh, I want to watch that. Podcast host Mike D'Angelo suggested cheekily that Uncle Owen should get his own spin-off in which he becomes a hitman. Edgerton said, yeah, what if Uncle Owen and his whole anti-war kind of attitude, maybe he was saying that because he just didn't want to fill Luke's head with ideas, and then you actually would realize he's basically some Tatooine Navy SEAL who now decided, I don't want Quasi-Son to go to war. I'm constantly impressed by TV writers who keep certain shows alive and present and vital for seasons, and they shift the paradigm, and you're like, how do these people do this? So, I mean, I think it's just that topic alone there of listening to, I think there's some truth to it, and also you got to also be careful with it. It's like you can't just listen to every single thing every fan says, because first of all your head would explode, second of all you don't want to cater to people and all that. But I do think there's something to it where I mentioned that for Jamie Campbell Bower, who I had on for from Stranger Things. And I asked him about fan theories and all those things, and he said he pays attention to them. It looks like some things are really interesting, some things are so far-fetched. But I think that the fans are the reason why they get so excited about these things and talk about these things. And when you look at some of the people, whether it's Dave Filoni or whoever it is, where do you think they were? Oh, they were fans of these things, and they had ideas on what I would do if I was in Star Wars. They just happened to be in that business. There are some people, and this is the conversation I think you and I have had many times over.
Yeah,
that there's somebody out there right now who is an accountant or is a fireman or firewoman or whatever, and could have been, if they pursued it, the best baseball player, basketball player, fighter, whatever. You don't know. Maybe they just never explored it. Maybe they never picked up whatever it was, and they are the best of all time. They're the Michael Jordan, and they've never even touched their particular sport. The same can be said about somebody who is a creative genius, who is doing something else, who maybe is a Star Wars fan, had an idea and said, oh, you know what? And put a comment in there one day and said, I think that if you did this, 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 and this, and that person could have been a brilliant creative executive, just never went down that path. Right. Mm-hmm. So I do think that they're out there. It's just hard and I do think a lot of times, though, in my opinion, I think that Kathleen Kennedy does not pay attention to it. I don't think she does. I think
to the fans.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
And I think that she almost put the nose up to them at times. It's my personal opinion. And I think that that's not the way to do it. As you look at like Kevin Feige, and Kevin Feige will not listen to everything fans say, but he certainly goes, interesting. All right, let's try that out. And he even mentioned that there were a couple of times they went in the wrong path. They would never do that at Lucasfilm. They would never say, oh, we were wrong, and there were a couple of things that we were maybe going about this the wrong way. Never. They'll never do it. But I do think that there's some merit into it, but I also think you got to be careful. What do you think?
Yeah, like you said, you got to be careful because in a way, if you start to, if you start to open the door to that, you start to empower fans even more. And there's nothing wrong with fans feeling an interactive connection with a franchise. I think that's hugely important. Obviously, it's a reason these things become successful. The danger becomes when you see the ownership that some fans have taken lately, some fans with massive platforms on YouTube have taken, as in, I'm protecting the brand, I'm protecting the franchise. There's a self-importance to that is dangerous when you start to say, you know what, fans should write this stuff. Fans do. Yeah, there's plenty of great fan films on YouTube. I went down a wormhole, I think, last Saturday and saw a bunch of them thanks to Kevin Smets's suggestion on some of these fan films. They're incredible. They're incredible.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think there are fans who would absolutely enjoy writing stuff. And if you can, have a process, that'd be a great reality TV competition, is like a bunch of 10 Star Wars fans. And then there's an executive who used to be in Star Wars or whatever, and they vet, and the winner gets to be in the writing room for the new series.
Yeah, we'd never do it, but
never do it. But it would be fun to see that. And it's a way of catering to the fans, everything like that. But it becomes dangerous when you start to be like, oh no, yeah. And Joel can say that because he's not in charge of the franchise.
Right. And can the ego can the egos go aside, right? Because I think there's little things because when people will just say everything is horrible about Acolyte, everything. I said, I don't think everything's horrible. I think that in the same way that there is horrible execution in Obi-Wan, horrible execution in Ahsoka, this horrible execution is the story. Like I said this on the show the other day, and as I gave like a little bit of fake pitch of what I would have made the show, people kind of responded to it, right? In the same way that this is kind of relevant to what we're talking about, is that I don't understand right now why you need the twins in this show. I just don't understand why you need.
They're the least important part of the show, least interesting part of the show.
You could have made this.
Agree with you.
The pitch that everyone got excited about, besides the fact that it was going back in time and that you were going to be dealing with like the Sith and all that stuff. But besides the obvious stuff of that, it was that this detective story murder mystery, right? Why wasn't the murder mystery, Saul and Daphne Keene's character, the two of them, he's her master, and they're doing, it's like this Qui-Gon Obi-Wan type of thing.
100%.
There's a murder from a Jedi, and they have to figure out, true detective style, each and every week, what the hell is happening and what is happening throughout it. And you can still bring in Manny Quinto's character and all that, because Saul's history and everything that's going on there, but and utilize Daphne Keene more. And do more with her, because she was very interesting. You could still have the Yord element and all that, and there's too many characters, and this thing with the witches and the twins, it's unnecessary.
You're 100% right, because Yord could have been how can I say this? Let's say Saul is a bit of a detective who, like a Jedi who like breaks the rules or crosses the lines. I don't mean like in a gruff way. I mean like he'll bend the rules because he wants to find. So Jackie comes in. Jackie's his Padawan, so they're on the case. But the council sends Yord with them because Yord is in essence the council's eyes and ears over them. So there's a battle between what Yord tells them they should be doing and what they're doing. And eventually they realize that Yord's way is a little bit right, and Yord realizes their way is a little bit right while they're solving this case.
And it's just sniffing around, causing damage. And it's a mystery. You don't know because it's a murder mystery. Is it? We know in the first episode who's doing it. It's not a murder mystery. And then, so listen, Joel Edgerton's right. Listen to me and Rocha. Anyway, we'll move on. And before we do it, I am excited to tell you guys, as I tell you guys each and every week, it is very, very important as we are doing these shows and we're able to come out, and you guys have listened to where I'm like, hey, if you want to help out the show and you're able to, please check out our sponsors. And I tell you about our sponsors all the time. And I tell you about AG1, and I've told you about Built. I'm going to tell you about both of them. So let me tell you about AG1 right now, and then I'll tell you about Built. Here you go. And I got to tell you about AG1. You guys know AG1. I mean, if you've been listening to this show long enough, you know that I love AG1. And people keep asking me. They notice. John even said when I started, new look, 20 pounds I lost. One of those reasons, AG1 became part of my routine. Because for a long time, I wasn't paying attention to what was going on in my body. It just wasn't. For me, I read labels. I verify that everything is up to the quality I need. And that is why I've stayed with AG1 for as long as I have. It is a research-backed foundational nutrition supplement, and it delivers daily nutrients, gut health support, and it's backed by multiple research studies, so you can trust what you're putting into your body. Because I like coffee. I used to drink so much coffee to keep up, but I don't need it anymore, not as much, because after drinking AG1, I have realized that I have all this energy and I need less coffee to power my day. It turns out I'm not alone. Because in a research study, 91% of people noticed they needed less coffee after 60 days of drinking AG1. 97% of people in a research study felt more energy after 30 days of drinking AG1. That's crazy. 91% of participants noticed that they need less coffee after 60 days of drinking AG1. That's me. Energy is a majorly important reason why it comes to I need so much energy for parenting. I can tell you that right now. AG1 contains ingredients to sustain energy so you can be the best version of yourself within each day. And it really has worked for me, and it's helped me on the plane, everything. It's easy, it's satisfying to start your journey with AG1. If you go to AG1 and you can get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. You got to go to drinkag1.com/bigthing. drinkag1.com/bigthing. It's the one product I trust to support my whole body health. It's AG1. All right, you know what stinks? When you're stuck in a loop of rent payments, you're just watching your money vanish into thin air. It's the worst. It's time to turn the rent game around and start earning some serious rewards. How do you do that? That is where Built Rewards comes in. Built is breaking ground as the first rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent. Doesn't matter, even if you're rocking the old school rent check vibes, Built Rewards, it's got your back. They're going to mail the check for you. It's like basically having a personal rent paying assistant. It's the best. Every month, you pay your rent and you watch the points roll in. Use points to jet off on a dream vacation. Put your points towards a flight or a hotel stay with 500 plus airlines and 700,000 plus hotels and properties. Pay rent hassle-free through the Built Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. Earn points by paying rent right now when you go to joinbuilt.com/bigthing. That is joinbilt.com/bigthing. So use our URL so they know that we sent you. That's joinbuilt.com/bigthing. Start earning points with your rent payments today. Thank you to our friends over at Built and AG1. I just got someone that said yesterday, they're like, I've been thinking about joining Built forever, and I'm using your URL to make sure that I do it. So thanks to everybody who's doing that, and same with AG1. But all right, John, let's talk about this because we've been discussing this forever.
Yeah.
And now it's finally happened. $1 billion. Inside Out 2 just made $1 billion. I mean, I knew we knew it would make money, but that was not the one that we were talking about when we kept mentioning what will make $1 billion.
Yeah.
We said Despicable Me, and I said Deadpool.
Yeah.
So the numbers for this weekend: Inside Out 2 at 57.4, Quiet Place Day 1 at 53.
Yeah.
Horizon American Saga Chapter 1 at 11. We'll discuss that. Bad Boys Ride or Die at 10. And then I don't know what this movie, what's this? Kalki 2898.
Yeah.
AD. What is that movie?
I don't know.
What that is.
Might be an Asian film. I don't know.
I think it's an Indian film.
Is it? Well, that is Asian.
Yeah, I know, but I wasn't sure. Okay. So,
yeah,
Inside Out 2 now, dude, has now crossed it's just over the 1 billion mark. It has made 469 domestic. It has made 545 internationally. I mean, holy moly.
Yeah.
This is big news.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think this is great. This signals that, this is a film that evokes the best of Pixar's past. And so, as we talked about, and so I'm not surprised that people are gravitating to this movie still into the third weekend and crossed $1 billion. This basically told Despicable Me 4, what do you got? Because they came out and they just, right out of the gate, there's clearly a hole in people's movie-going desires that weren't being met. And Inside Out 2 shows up, and now people have gone in droves to see it over and over and over. You don't get to $1 billion in 3 weeks without people going back to see this film over and over and over again, families and what have you. So it's just, I think it's speaking our language as we're more mentally, more aware of mental health and can speak about it a little more openly in the times past. I think it really grabs that. And the story, I think, is slightly stronger than the story in the first movie. The fact that Joy has even more competition throughout, I think really is fun to explore in this film as well. So no surprise, man. And I'm glad. And this means Pixar can recapture that formula when they want to recapture that formula. And hopefully this is an indication of where they're going next with some of their future films.
I hope so. I mean, because it looks like, the writing on this was really good. My little one, I was very curious, but I told you I took my oldest to see it. And the reason why she responded to it so much is because she was just around Riley's age, or maybe a little younger than Riley when she saw the first one. Right. So she's essentially grown up with Riley. Now Riley is exactly like her age and can relate to all of it. So I knew that it was going to hit for my 12-year-old. The question was it, and it hit for me, right? Watching it as someone who has a 12-year-old and watching all these things. And that's the best type of when these movies are aimed at both adults and kids and it plays for everyone.
Yeah.
That is when you're going to have the most success. Right. So when and it does, because it just played wonderfully for me. So, but I was curious, how is this going to play to my 6.5-year-old? Is it going to go over her head?
Mm.
And it didn't. She loved it. She absolutely, and my wife went and took them to see it too. My wife loved it. And so it really plays to everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone. And people keep going back. The fact that it made the insane amount of money it made week 1, and then week 2, it only dropped a little bit and made 100 million on its second weekend. And then didn't even drop 50% from that and did another 57 million. This movie is a juggernaut. It is huge. And I think that it is a big surprise. It's not a surprise that it did well. It's a surprise that it's doing as well.
As quickly, too. Like 3 weeks.
That's $1 billion in 3 weeks. That is a major accomplishment. And if you're Pixar, you're jumping off the roof. Joy is the only person in Pixar's head right now. Nobody else. There's no anger. There's nothing else. There's just Joy said, take a break. I'm here. And it makes sense. And now, if you look at the other movies, though, they didn't have the same type. Like, I'm curious about Quiet Place day one, right? Because did you see the movie?
I haven't seen it. I'm seeing it later today.
All right, so I want to see what the budget is on it, because it doesn't seem. I did see the movie.
50 or 60.
Is that what the budget is?
I think it is right around 50 or 60.
Day one, that would be a wonderful budget, 67 million. So 67. Good for them.
Yeah,
it's made 100 million already worldwide.
Yeah.
Okay, so good for them. Smart, because I went and saw this movie, and what I said about the film itself was that there's no surprise to this movie the way that 1 and 2 had surprises, because you're like, well, what are these things?
Right.
What's the rules? You know the rules. You know what they are. You know how to beat them. You know all that already. So it's really not about them. It's about Lupita Nyong'o, and it's about Joseph Quinn. It's about the two of them. It's about and the cat. It's about their relationship, and well, and like how they're dealing with it. And it was a small movie in a big movie's body.
Mm-hmm.
And not really even that. I mean, there was I was so pleasantly surprised with how I said I didn't know the budget yet, but I felt like it was a $67 million budget.
Yeah,
good, because then that is the structure I've been screaming for to the hills, saying you get a big star, you get a really great actor like Lupita Nyong'o, which price point is probably not through the roof, but good enough. And as far as price point goes, as far as it's probably going to cost you a little bit to have her in the movie, but then Joseph Quinn right now is right on the cusp. He's not going to be cheap in like a couple of years from now, especially after the Marvel movies.
Totally true.
You get him now, and you do this. This is the way you do it. This is really smart, and this is a win for them.
Yeah, 100%. And way back in a few years ago when I was when Quiet Place first came out, and I was on the shows, and I would say this is a franchise that can work in numerous arenas, right? Because if this happened all over the world, you can have a Russian Quiet Place, a French Quiet Place, a German Quiet Place, a Spanish Quiet Place. And then they did the sequel, which I thought was fantastic, right in the middle. It came out right in the middle of COVID. I thought it was a fantastic film. And now this film comes out and is doing so well. It's a prequel series. And I would argue Lupita is probably a little less known than Emily Blunt. And so the fact that people still wanted to come and see the film speaks volumes of the power of the franchise,
Yes.
And Lupita's, obviously a fantastic actress. I think she won the Oscar for 12 Years a Slave. So an Oscar-winning actress, or at least an Oscar-nominated actress. And so you bring that kind of strength and that kind of talent to lead a film like this. It's so smart. Throwing an up-and-comer, as you said, in Joseph Quinn. You got to balance things out. She's very much the anchor of the movie, from what I understand. And then you go forward and you see, and you get it. You get the director of Pig, who Sarnowski's a fantastic director now. Yeah. And so it all works, and you keep the budget low, and people will come and flock to it if you make a good movie.
I really hope that the more people take this point of view, because you said it. It's like you don't have to because the franchise alone will sell the tickets.
Yes.
But if you put a phenomenal actress in there and then put it with people like, again, with a Joseph Quinn, and that's all you need. You get a couple people here and they go, oh, I know that person, but it's Djimon Hounsou, obviously from the other movies,
right.
But it really leans on these two.
Yep.
and I enjoyed watching it. And it's funny. I went with my friend who I've mentioned on this show a million times over. My friend John Pinto, who is the guy who I always use as the regular movie viewer, just like a normal person who doesn't pay attention. He's not in our bubble.
Yeah,
and I'm like, and I always say, someone's like, "You're crazy. This person, everyone knows who that is." I'm like, John Pinto would know who that is, and he's a fan of this stuff. John Pinto had never seen a Quiet Place movie ever.
Wow.
Going into this, and so I said, I'm not going to tell you these. Don't tell me anything. So we were watching. He's like, now I want to watch the whole franchise, right?
Yeah.
He wants to see it, and he had a good time with it, and that was it. So now continuing on though through it,
yeah.
Did you wind up seeing the Horizon?
I did not yet.
That shocks me.
Tuesday, I'll be going through. I told you I had a busy weekend. We were out doing a lot of house and the breaking in the car, finalizing the deal. It was a very busy weekend. But yeah, I will definitely go Tuesday, or I might go Quiet Place tomorrow and go see Horizon today. We'll see. Either way, I'm seeing one of the two today and one of the two tomorrow. So yeah, I
am so.
Did you go?
I saw.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember I had Jamie on the show. And so it was interviewing for. He's fantastic in the film. Whether I was going to interview him or not, he's fantastic in the movie. Right. And the movie, the way that I feel about the film, first of all, it's you and I. Even before I even saw this, we had the same concerns about it.
Yeah,
Westerns are hard to get people in the movie theater for part one.
Yes,
a 3-hour part one is going to be very hard to get people in the movie theater to see, and the reviews have been mixed on the movie. I'm in the positive side of the movie because the way that I watched the movie is clearly as a part one.
Yeah. And
the other way that I watched this movie is that this movie plays like a mini series on streaming television. That's not an insult.
Right.
It's just, it doesn't play the way that traditional, you would think, if you're going to guess, you're going to go Horizon. This is about Kevin Costner as this outlaw cop or whatever he is. And we follow his journey throughout the whole thing. It's not. It's an ensemble that you could be spending 15 minutes with one character and then 5 with another one and then flip to another one for another 20 minutes. There's a scene that happens in the beginning. Sienna Miller is phenomenal in this movie, by the way.
Right. Phenomenal. Oh, good. I love Sienna. She's really come back strong over the last few years.
She's great in this movie. There's a lot of really good performances in this film, but she really stands out. Sam Worthington is really good in this movie, but there's a particular scene that happens and it's brutal and it happens and it feels it's got to be 8 to 10 minutes, this whole scene.
Yeah.
And it's going on and you're like, whoa. And it's not like, oh, wrap it up already. It's like, wow, this is still going on. I feel like I'm in it. I really enjoyed it. I was invested, but I could see people either being bored or everything too. And if you don't look at it as a part one, and the idea of trying to make this a mega hit when you've got all these other movies out there right now, I don't know. I mean, I think that Warner Brothers just put up the money to distribute it. I don't think no,
it's all Costner's money. It's all Costner's money. Warner's just distributing it.
So there's no real loss for them.
No,
they're pushing out there. So
they stay in business with him.
Yeah.
Because the second one's coming out in August.
Yes, but I will tell you that I will be there as soon as as soon as it comes out. I want to see how it wraps up. I was invested in it, but
what do you mean wraps up? This is a 4-part story.
Is it really?
Yes. Costner said it in numerous interviews. A 4-part story. He shot the first 2 back to back.
Yeah.
And he's hoping that these somehow become successful so that he can get
he's going to put his own money to make 3 and 4. I don't know.
I think he's going to go straight to streaming 3.
I think so.
That's my belief.
I think so too. I think what he could do if you wanted to really be, I almost asked this question to Jamie, but I was like, nah, I'm not going to do it. Because Jamie says he wants to stay. He really like being in the Western world. And,
sure.
And I was going to ask him, I go, what would you do if Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah.
Taylor Sheridan. So what if Taylor Sheridan came knocking on your door and wanted you to be in one? What would you do? Where would your loyalty go? I almost asked him, but I was like, I should have asked him, but I didn't. And what I think Costner should do is go after and go, be a competitor.
100%.
Yeah.
Been thinking this for months, that all this hand wringing over, why is he leaving Yellowstone? Costner is as big as Taylor Sheridan. Okay. Costner's been around since the 80s, people. And he's been in Westerns since the 80s. Silverado, Wyatt Earp, all these Westerns he's been a part of. And he's Americana with the baseball movies. So To me, it makes all the sense in the world. He's a fantastic director, he's a great executive producer. Why doesn't he get in? And he likes being in control. If you watch any Costner interview, man, he's very much up his own ass, but in a way that's like endearing. So to me, I'm like, go. You don't need to be under Taylor Sheridan's thumb. And he feels clearly slighted by the studio and Taylor Sheridan because he's like, they don't appreciate what I did for them. Like my name sold this show and got people to take a chance on the show. No, whether he's right or wrong, there's no way to prove it. So, but for him, that's how he sees it. So go and do your own thing. There's clearly an appetite for it. So go and start your own thing and see what you can do because there's a lot of really well-directed films from him and well-produced films from him. So I think he'd be fantastic being in charge of an empire like this. Why not?
Yeah, I know. Why not indeed? So I don't know, man. It's interesting to me to see if this movie though is going to, I don't know, if it's going to be enough for Costner to go, okay, I made enough that I'm going to make a third and fourth or just put it on streaming. We'll see.
Yeah.
But the box office alone, guys, that was it's revitalized, and Inside Out 2 is definitely one of those. You got Despicable Me coming out this weekend. I missed the screening last week. So bummed about that. I really wanted to see the movie, but I'll see it this weekend with my little one. All right, let's move on because we do have this trailer for Cobra Kai that just came out. So let's bring that up. And I can't find the damn thing. I thought I had a screenshot of it. I had a screenshot of it somewhere, okay, John, but now I can't find the damn thing. So either way, we get a black frame. We get a black frame and me in the bottom corner there. But I think that somewhere I have this thing. Or deleted it. That's what happened. That's exactly what deleted it. Anyway, so the freaking trailer for Cobra Kai.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, talk amongst yourself. But the trailer came out for Cobra Kai, the new season, part 1. Yeah. I heard you editing your reaction before.
How dare you? Yeah, how dare you listening on my business?
You play it as loud as you do. What do you expect? And you seem to have fun with it as you're watching it. It's exactly lined up to what they have each season. And they even, when I had the creators on every single time I've had them on, each season has gone significantly a little more batshit.
Batshit crazy.
Every single time. Because if you watch the first season, the first season is the only one that's based a little bit more in reality.
Right.
Where everything feels kind of real.
There's actually ramifications and consequences.
Yeah. And it doesn't feel like it's like it gets more comic book / wrestling / superhero as it goes on and on and on. And like, once you realize, and I think it's the end of season 1 or even season 2, when there's like these big brawls that are happening in the school and all this, it's like, okay, this is just, it's a different type of, it's a multiverse type of place where anything goes. There's kids learn karate so fast, they're doing flips off trees and all this. And like, once you get there and you understand what the show is, this trailer is exactly the finale of all of the batshit craziness that has led up. And you're like you said, I mean, Hawk's got a freaking July 4th mohawk going on. It is you want to see how this ends, and hopefully it ends in the pure spectacle we hope it does.
It has to be Hilary Swank. I don't care what anybody, I don't care if she denies it till she's blue in the face. I feel like the end of the trailer is teasing Hilary Swank, the idea that Miyagi has these secrets. And if you remember, was it the next Karate Kid, the Hilary Swank film? I think her dad or her uncle was like served in the war with Miyagi, which is why he trained her. And she was like this angry hothead. We brought back everybody. Like everybody's come back. Even the girl from Karate Kid Part 3 came back.
Right.
Everybody's come back. Hillary has to come back. She's been in Netflix films, so she clearly has a good connection with Netflix. But look, you're right. Everything got settled at the end of season 5. Everybody's on board. John Kreese now is the main villain again, like he was in the first movie. So it's all full circle. According to the trailer, he's going to Japan, and
right.
So somehow he's the head of a dojo in Japan.
Become a wonderful soap opera.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. And well, and touching up on the Hilary Swank thing, I hope you're right.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, I don't think you are.
Okay. Why?
Well, when they were filming, remember, she just had a baby recently.
Yes.
And when they were filming it, I believe she was either still pregnant or just had her kid. I can't remember. So that's part 1. Part 2 is she says it many times over that she's been asked about Cobra Kai more than any other question she gets.
Yeah.
And it makes sense that Netflix would want to say, hey, look, talk to the guys. Now, do I think that they have tried to get her back? Yes.
Yeah.
I bet you they've tried a million times over, because as many times as she gets asked, just imagine how many times the guys get asked that question.
Yeah, it's true.
I think that if you can get her at the end, because there's part 1, part 2, and part 3, I think, of this.
Yeah, part 1 is what they released the trailer for today.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's 3 parts of this. So what you would try to do, I think, if you are the guys, is say, all right, we got some reshoots in our pockets.
Yeah.
Our goal is that by the time we get to part 3, we can get one of those reshoots, even if it's a 5-minute scene. Yeah. Let's have it. So, and that at that point, Hilary Swank ready to go, can film, can do whatever she needs to do. So maybe the reshoots is a possibility, but I don't think she's going to be in this part, and I don't think that it has been shot yet.
Do you think that what's in that case could also be related to that movie that's coming out? Could it be that Jackie Chan is like his stepson or something like that?
I think that's more related to that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it's his stepson, because I think that,
or his brother, long lost brother. I don't know.
I don't think Jackie Chan is Japanese in the.
No, but I'm saying, but he could have had, relations with a Chinese woman, and then it's Jackie Chan.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. Who knows? It could be related one way or another. But there is, because that goes back to maybe why they pushed things back, and they had some conversations, because originally when all that was going down, when they announced the Karate Kid movie, the guys didn't even know anything about it.
No.
Because they were tweeting out, oh, we don't know what the hell this thing is, right?
Right. Initially,
they had no clue, and then Ralph Macchio was approached about it, and then they're like, because this was made by Sony, this decision,
right?
Because Karate Kid's hot, let's make a Karate Kid movie, right? And it's like,
we have the right,
sure, but how do you not acknowledge the guys who revitalized that entire franchise in both, with Hayden and Josh and John, so. Anyway, the fact, I think that what they said is, all right, let's talk, let's have a conversation, let's do this, because that movie now comes out I think it will coordinate with it, and I think they probably had them write some stuff into it. Be stupid for them not to do that. If you're Sony, not if Cobra Kai, it doesn't really matter, but if you're Sony, promote your movie. It's Sony Television.
If you're making a multiverse, you've got it, like what happened with Marvel. You've got to bring the other directors in to make sure the energy fits with the characters that you've been directing. So it makes all the sense in the world to bring them in to kind of at least, counsel or advise on it.
Okay. So I think the last thing, as we see, by the way, that we have more super chats that are coming in, and throw them in there, because this is going to be our last story, and then we're going to get to all the super chats. And we have this picture, John, that I gotta bring this picture up. And check this out. This is from the new.
Oh, yeah.
You see this picture?
Paul Mescal.
Yeah, Paul Mescal for Gladiator Part 2. They just released this picture, and it is an anticipated movie, I would say the least. Apparently, they showed a lot of stuff at CinemaCon that people loved.
Yes, Jeff said it was incredible.
That's what everyone said. Paramount Pictures has premiered the first photos now from Ridley Scott's mega-budget epic sequel to Gladiator as a part of a feature piece over at Vanity Fair. They come ahead of the film's trailer release on Tuesday, July 9th. Shots include Paul Mescal and Pedro Pascal, who appear to come to blows in the film in the arena. Mescal stars as a grown-up version of the child Lucius, son of... I didn't know that. Did you know that? That he was a child? I didn't really see
that. They've gone back and forth, because they're trying to say that either he might be a biological child, or he might be like taking on the mantle of the child. I don't know. So,
okay, they said he stars as a grown-up version of the child Lucius, son of Lucia, who is Connie Nielsen, who can also be seen here from the first film. Pascal plays a general who has drowned, conflicted with whom he serves. There's also the first shot of Denzel, grudge-holding former gladiator who pulls the strings behind the scenes for his own purposes. Denzel's playing a bad guy?
Yeah.
Yes. That's great. Also in the shots are a blonde Joseph Quinn. There's Joseph Quinn again, who plays the bloodthirsty tyrant Emperor Geta, and Fred Hachinger as his Mika brother Geta. I haven't even seen any of this. The pair jointly ruled Rome in early 3rd century AD. Also, you have Jaime Hansu, Matt Lucas, and much others. A $300 million budget, though.
Yeah,
That's tough.
that's a lot of money.
But yeah, a lot of money. But there's a few different. There's a lot of just photos of this one.
These photos are fucking incredible, man.
Really, really good. But yes, well, there you go. You just answered my question. You're digging these photos so far.
I was out. I mean, I was out on this idea. I thought this was a dumb idea. I'm like, he died. What are you talking about? A sequel? But it's a spiritual sequel in that the memory of Maximus is what motivates Lucius in this battle. And look, in real life, the Emperor character that Joaquin Phoenix played lived a very long life and was very helpful to Rome. But they had to make him a bad guy for the movie. It works. So we're dealing with like just fantastical ideas of history now in this sequel. So let's have some fun. I did not think he'd be able to recapture the energy of that one because remember, it's 24 years.
Wow.
Gladiator. 24 years. That's how old you are, kids. 24 years. So but these images look incredible. And we know this about Ridley. When Ridley's on, he's on.
Right.
When he's off, he is way off. And so this looks like he's on, man. This looks great. What a great collection of talent.
I'm hoping. And I mean, just hearing, I haven't seen any that those few images are the only thing that I saw so far. I knew nothing about the story. I didn't know Denzel was playing a bad guy. Yeah. I'm in. Didn't know Joseph Quinn was in it. I'm in. I didn't know that, as the emperor, himself, and watching all of this, and I didn't know that the kid was playing the version and that's how you connected to the original. I'm in. I wanted to see it and was curious about it, but I like what I'm hearing so far. And now that we see the trailer next week,
yeah,
I'm excited for this movie, man. It was in my anticipated when I did my list earlier this year, but it's starting to really kind of push up there.
Yeah, the reports are there are scenes where they're fighting in the arena in the water with sharks. And that actually happened in Rome. There's like legitimate historical evidence of them shipping in sharks and water into these arenas and having these simulated boat fights, ship battles out on the sea. So yeah, it's crazy, man. It's going to be crazy.
It is crazy. All right. Well, what is crazy is that a lot of times people are terrible at gifts. Are you good at gifts, John?
No. The Lady Outlaw knows. Make a list. I'll pick something.
I got something good for you. I got something good for you today because I'm still really bad about it, but I was able to find a really great gift in both. And it was Songfinch. And I'll tell you about Songfinch. And the other one that I always tell people is get people tushies. You guys know I've talked about tushies.
Yeah,
they're great. But let me tell you about Songfinch, and then I'm going to tell you about tushy. Here you go. Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video. I wanted to let you guys know about something that I've mentioned before, but I know that a lot of times when you're looking for gifts, I'm terrible at looking for gifts. I really am. And I want to find special gifts, and I want people to know that I was caring about it. I was thinking about it, and I put some thought into it. And I'm always like, what do I do? And then I discovered Songfinch. Well, what's Songfinch? I found Songfinch, and it is a game changer. It's thoughtful, it's unique, and they're going to feel super special. Songfinch lets you create an original radio quality song inspired by your own life and the people you love. It's completely unique, it's personal, and it lasts forever. You can use it for graduation, you could do wedding, you could do anniversary, or even just a gift to show your loved one how much you care. Start your song now to lock in one of Songfinch's top artists. So I did it. I'm going to give you a little bit. I did one for my wife, and I was excited. I gave a whole bunch of different things about things that we met, things about our kids, and all these things that I thought would be a really good basis for a song. And take a little.
A comedian from New York met an artist from LA, and it seems as though we're opposites. But we're meant to be.
You just get a little tease, but you get it. You understand exactly what we're working with here, and you can stream it. You can do all this stuff with it. It's amazing. For a limited time, Songfinch is letting our listeners upload their song to Spotify for free, so you and the lucky person you gift it to can listen to it anywhere, anytime. Go to songfinch.com/Harloff and start your song. After you purchase, you'll be prompted to add Spotify streaming for your original song for free, and it's a $50 value. Again, you got to use that URL, songfinch.com/Harloff. Don't forget to share your song with us, too, though. We want to hear it. Songfinch.com/Harloff. So many comments lately about everybody that's buying the Tushies, and I see why you're buying them. I love them. You love them. Chris Carr loves them. Everybody loves the Tushies. I'm so excited to get you guys to get a Tushy that I almost thought about doing this from the bathroom, but then I was like, no, I want you to get it. It's terrible. That's a terrible thing for me to do, but I want to do it because I want to show you how much I love the Tushies. Check this out alone. Look at this. Just open up the toilet lid. You spray the water right in your tush. It's wonderful. Look at that. That's how it works. It's that easy. You put it on the toilet. You open it up. You spray the water on your butt. It's lovely. It's going to change the way that you think about cleaning up after a spicy dump in a coffee shop or a porta potty during a music festival. You're going to want to take Tushy with you everywhere, and thankfully you can. Because the Tushy Travel, it's collapsible, it's durable, and discreet portable bidet that gives you the most confident clean on the go. I keep telling people about these things. Everybody are getting the Tushies now, and everyone's like, oh, man, can I use your code? Can I use your code? Of course you can. It's the best. I got one. I've got 2 in my house right now, and it is so wonderful. We feel classy in this house. It's got a 3-stream nozzle for a total clean. It's got a new air mesh bag for discreet travel, faster dry time. It comes in 5 new colors. Every Hello Tushy bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return and 12-month warranty. So stop wiping until you bleed. Join the 2 million butts who have already made the switch to Tushy. For a limited time only, our listeners get 10% off your entire order, but you got to use that code BIGTHING. 10% off Hello Tushy, HELLOTUSHY.com with the promo code BIGTHING. Hey, man. So I'm going to tell you about Songfinch, and I told you about Hello Tushy. I'm so excited that they're both back because they're both like the reason why, and as I tell people, when you are getting these things and you purchase these things and they go, whoa, we want to come back. It's because you guys are enjoying them. So my favorite thing to do actually when I'm doing, when I'm running these is watching your reaction to these. Because you could, if you wanted to, you could go take one of those spicy dumps. You could go take a pee, but instead you listen to it and you're like, I saw you listening to the song. The song was good, wasn't it?
The song was good. I was shocked at how good the song was.
The song was really good. And I loved that, and so I'm glad that Songfinch is back, and I hope. And people you got to sign up first to get that Spotify deal, but once you do, it's worth it. All right, so John, as we do every Monday, man, we got a lot of questions that are coming in.
Let's do it.
We go through all of the questions, and you guys can put them in. They start even before we even went on the air, and they can go all the way until the last question. So start throwing them in now if you haven't done it already. But we start with this one. Mufasa, again, when I say Aussie, 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 you say oi, oi, oi. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. Let's go.
Did you get my my response on Twitter?
I did. Of course, I responded to it with an LOL.
Nice. Good. And then you get it back. Another Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. So there you go.
There you go. Shout out to the United States who are going to get their butts kicked tonight against Uruguay, possibly. So
perfect. Miguel Zion, what do you think will happen to that KOTOR script written by Leda Calgridis? What are the chances of it being redeveloped when Kathleen Kennedy leaves Lucasfilm? I did hear about that. I remember back in the day we talked about it on Jedi Council, and what I think is what always happens in these a lot of time, not with just Lucasfilm, but I can't even tell you how many different scripts came in when I was working at Silver that were in development, that were excited. If they had the internet now, all the stuff that we like a Sergeant Rock thing that was there, we had all these different, we had so many different things that were in development that just never happened. And there's no difference. It just was probably in development and just kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
And I also think Dave Filoni doesn't care about Knights Over.
Yeah, but Leslie Helen came out and said she'd love to direct a KOTOR film. So who knows where it all goes? It probably all just goes in a vault. And they go, when we're ready to bring it out, we'll bring it out and have a conversation about it. So,
I don't think that would go over too well right now, though.
No, well, yeah.
Right. Mike Joyce. Lupita went through a lot for a slice of pizza in Quiet Place.
No spoilers, Mike.
Nah, it's not a spoiler.
Okay.
What's the most you've done for food you've craved? Well, I guess my wife literally called me a pizza addict the other day. She really did. She was just like, this is an addiction now. She's like, you have to stop. You have to stop. But I'll tell you, dude, we went yesterday.
Yeah.
My wife actually found this as we were driving. She was driving me to work and she saw this deal. You only find this kind of stuff in New York, and it's this Italian place. And it's like a Sunday dinner deal that they give for, it says you could feed 6 people on this thing, right?
Yeah.
You could feed 40 people on this thing. And it's all quality stuff. We got bolognese, chicken, the mushrooms.
Oh yeah, you got you. Oh, the chicken marsala.
Thank
Marsala. Yeah.
Chicken marsala. We had we had a full Caesar salad thing. It was the kids and the bread that they gave you. It was like there was enough bread for like sandwiches for 6 weeks, and it was the best deal. And so I tell you what, Mike, I'd probably go through a lot to have that dinner again, or make sure they keep that deal. But I don't know what I went through. Yeah. And probably really long walks to get pizza that probably yeah.
I drove up to LA 2 years ago for Maggiano's. That's how
Maggiano's
there's no Maggiano's here in San Diego. There is a Maggiano's, but it's like you order it. It's like another restaurant. You order it and you got to go get it at this restaurant. Then you bring it home and heat it up. That's basically it. But it's not a Maggiano's restaurant. It's really weird. So
all right.
I wanted the atmosphere, so I drove up to 2.5 hours to have some.
Yeah. Well, Mike follows up. Have I had Patsy's Pizza? You wouldn't understand that one, Rocha, just yet, but you will. Okay. No, I haven't. Okay, so here is the next one. Miguel. Regarding Thor 5, would you rather have George Miller or Kenneth Branagh helmet? I think it would be poetic if Branagh comes back to close what he started, make it more Marvel Shakespearean with Norse gods. I have to tell you, I think that I would agree with you. As cool as it would be to see a George Miller Thor movie,
yeah,
pretty great, and I wouldn't complain if that's what we wound up getting. I do think there's something poetic about Branagh coming back and saying, "Yeah, this is the end." Is he even rumored?
The fans are rumoring him.
Oh, okay.
There's been no rumor with Branagh coming back. The fans are interested in wanting to bring him back. I don't know. I mean, Branagh's films at times, when they're not Shakespearean, I feel like his films can be a bit distant. I think that fourth Thor film was a little distant. So I'd be nervous about bringing him back, especially because you're trying to get people back into the franchise. And although George Miller took a hit on Furiosa, I think he's the more exciting choice at this point for a new Thor film. But like you said, and the writer said, the poetic, it could be possible.
Could be. I feel like this was written by you under the guise of a different.
How dare you? I would never.
My mouse just died. That's perfect. That's great. You gotta be kidding. I can't scroll to the thing.
Oh, you just got to read it now.
Did it? Well, I will read it and then I'll try to bring it back up. Hey, okay. Kristian, while I enjoyed episode 5 of Acolyte, mainly for the fights and Darth Manny, but this show feels like it had 60-minute scripts that were cut down to fulfill Disney Plus 30-minute runtime. Now, John, you can speak on this while I try to recharge them out.
Yeah, well, the last 2 have been 30 minutes for sure, but the other ones have not been. So you can't say that they cut them all down to 30 minutes because clearly they didn't. And we don't know what the runtimes are, at least that I haven't seen for the next 3 ones. So who knows what their runtime is there. But I don't think you're wrong about things being cut down. I'm very clear on this. I think certain people got involved with Leslie's script and Leslie's point of view, and they cut some stuff out, trimmed some stuff down, took some stuff out, put some other stuff in. And so that's what we're getting now. So it feels a bit disjointed. So I
mean, look, the 30-minute runtime is something that I think is a major problem with all of the Star Wars shows. They're
not filling them in, you know?
No, it's not. And especially when you're doing and the argument that I kept getting from people that it makes no sense. Well, the Bear's 30 minutes, but the Bear isn't a big action show, and you're not going to have 5 to 7 minutes of a show. And in the case of this last episode, 20 minutes of a show be pure action and not enough story in there. So if you're going to do a pure action thing like that, I mean, look at people say don't compare it to House of the Dragon. I mean, you can compare it to House of the Dragon. Because did you watch House of the Dragon last night?
I did, yeah. Great stuff.
So when you have
there's no action in that episode, but it was so dramatic.
It was compelling. It was so compelling. And where you do have even a couple of battle scenes where it's some stuff, and by the time you do get to the battle scene, it's going to mean something.
Exactly. It's what I said at the end of my reaction. I did a reaction for it last night. I said, this is because some people have been complaining, can we get to the battles? And I'm like, no, this is great. We're laying the groundwork, the character work, so that when these battles happen and people die, we feel it. We really feel it. And, credit to Daphne Keane. And that's all I'll say.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin it for anybody.
We're having some issues right now.
Okay. You want me to read these, or you
can go? Yeah, after Mike's movie, man. It's because I can't. My mount. Wait. Did I get something? Oh, yeah. I think I got it. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's see. All right. I think I got it.
You always got to have a backup mouse, man.
I do, but it's not working either. Elusive Rock. Which Disney movie will reign supreme at the 2024 box office? Inside Out 2 or Deadpool and Wolverine? And will anything outgross them? Can't wait for Sam Morrill. Yeah, Sam Morrill's coming on the show soon. But what do you think, John? What reigns supreme?
I do still think Inside Out 2 is going to reign supreme. I think that's going to have legs for months. I don't know about Deadpool and Wolverine. I think once it blows up opening weekend, we've seen this with all the comic book movies. They take massive dips afterwards, and we're not seeing the same kind of massive dips in Inside Out 2. So I think people are going to still come back to that movie. And if Despicable Me 4 sucks or isn't that good, that's going to give people even more impetus to go see Inside Out 2 even more.
So you know where I stand on Deadpool, because I was the one who said it's going to make $1 billion. You said no.
Yes.
That being said, I still think it's going to hit $1 billion.
Yes.
That being said, I still think Inside Out will make more, because I don't think Deadpool will make $1 billion within 3 weeks.
Yeah. No way.
No. And it's going to be longer. And there's going to be, I think Inside Out 2 winds up making more, but they're going to have $2 billion movies for sure, I think, this year.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if there's anything that will surpass that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nope. Yeah. All right. Next one, Sean Prittersel. In an alternate timeline, where are the schmoes now if you never ended the show? I think poorer, because we have to split money. That's probably one.
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think that there's a lot to. We probably would. I mean, I still go back, and there's certain things that, and Mark and I talk about this all the time. I still think that I would have done things completely differently. Although it's weird, I say that, and especially after watching like Dark Matter and all these things, like there's certain things that, like, if you could live in two different timelines, there would be the one timeline I wouldn't change anything, because it all led me up to what I'm doing. I'm super happy with the way that I'm running now, and I haven't been stressed out. I mean, the normal stresses that come with running something, but this has been the best. The last 2.5, 3 years has been the most relaxed, fun I've ever had doing YouTube podcasting. It's been the best. It's been the best. So I wouldn't want, and without all those moments, those decisions leading up to this, you wouldn't have had that, right?
Yeah.
But if I had the flip side to it, I would have changed things differently, where I probably would have just had Mark and I doing the podcast the way we were doing it, and having people kind of come in, and I would have put Brett and Kate in that. That would have been the original crew.
Okay.
It's Brett, Kate, Mark, and myself. That would have been the original crew, right up top. And then, when it came to joining Collider and doing all that, there's a flip side to it, because one, you get a lot of people who saw you and know you from that. I still get people all the time doing it, but during that time, and it wasn't necessarily the people. You and I have discussed this. It wasn't necessarily just the people. There was just that all the way that from going from being into YouTube to being on this kind of corporate bubble, it was the opposite, where it was probably the most unhappy times of my life. And
because you're not built to be under anyone's thumb. You're just not. I mean, that's something you and I have in common. We're not really built to be under people's thumbs, and we try to work within that construct. And certainly, you had an incredible amount of freedom, but still, there's you have to answer to certain. There's requirements and things of that nature. And I think you did the best you could for what was going on there, but in the end, it wasn't for you, and you realized that.
Yeah. Elusive Rock. Which Disney movie will reign supreme? We did that already. That one came in already.
Right, Sean Peterson, I think.
Yeah, why did that jump down?
Oh no, we did that already.
Okay, there we go. This is it. Tiberius Monk. Thank you, Tiberius. Very kind of you. Hey. Hello, gents. Both the MCU and the DCEU are self-correcting to get back on track after many blunders. I don't see this happening at the moment for Star Wars, and I'm not sure if they ever will. Do you see a future course correction for Star Wars? Ever will is always hard to say, because ever will means in 200 years from now they won't do it. So you know what I mean? So ever will, I don't know. But I think that they're in, as I mentioned before, many times over, in the Yankees phase. They're in the Steve Sachs phase right now. Steve Sachs is a good ball player, but they weren't winning games when he was with the team. Right. So I think that a lot needs to change. I do think, and this isn't I think Kathleen Kennedy should be in the business for a very long time, and she continue. I think she should move on to do other things. I just think that she is. I think that the the current leadership and the current direction and everything that they have going is the wrong way to go with this franchise. I don't know if I'm in the minority, but I'm clearly a lot of times people push back and be like, I remember when you used to really love Star Wars. I'm like, I still love, and like I said, I loved the Yankees in 1989, 1990. I loved the Yankees and I still watched them all of the time, but they stunk. And I watched them, and I watched the Knicks for a long time. They stunk, but I kept watching them, hoping that they would get better. It's the same thing.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've watched the Peacock series that's up on the 1990 Yankees. Highly recommend.
I know. I heard it was good. My brother told me about it.
Oh my God. Some of the stories I totally forgot about.
Yeah.
So shout out to any Yankees fans who haven't watched that series. Please watch it on Peacock. 3 parts. But yes, agree with you. I mean, that's the thing is when are they going to course correct? Because clearly there's an anger amongst the fandom. And it'd be different if like now they're still making like a crap ton of money and the ratings are still high and the numbers are still high, but clearly that's not happening. And clearly there's issues going on within this franchise, but I think they are trying to course correct. I think Iger coming in and saying, we're only going to do this for all the franchises, only a certain amount. I think there's a desire to tell new stories. People have said they don't want any more Skywalker stuff. Okay, we're going to go to the beginning of the Jedi. We're going to release a series that's about 100 years before A New Hope. We're going to do all these things that are outside the world of Skywalker, but they aren't 100% knocking it out of the park, and that's becoming the problem. But I don't know what the answer is. Even if you replace Kathleen, there's no guarantee that some new person is going to come in and like just know what to do.
Not guaranteed, but that's using the sports analogy again. Is it a guarantee that the team's going to start winning games with a new coach? It's not a guarantee.
Not guaranteed.
But it's a matter of what does the game plan of the new coach look like? Right. Where are you using your players? Where like you have all these assets, and like how frustrating is it when you have a coach with a really good roster and a really good team, and they're not using them the right way.
Right.
It's so frustrating. And it's the same thing especially, when people like if the fans are happy being in 4th place, it's like, what do you care? They're winning games. They're still in 4th place. It's like, yeah, but you want to win a championship.
Right. This is not a 4th place franchise.
4th place franchise. Right. It's not, it shouldn't be. All right. Matt Sinister McCall got some movie Disney ideas. Inside Out, but the main character is a serial killer. Honestly, that's like that'd be something like that Winnie the Pooh thing, but it really warps. Also, Jedi Harloff and Brett versus Sith Rob Zombie. The budget $40 million. Easy. I love Matt Sinister's comments. They brighten my day. I really do.
Well, there is a serial killer film out like Inside Out now, right? Yeah, where it's told from the serial killer's point of view. You're literally the point of view of the serial killer the whole movie.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's out. It's already been done, dog.
All right. Luke James, actor. Been a fan since 2015. Thank you very much. Keep up the great work. I was going through some of those old Schmodown matches because the channel, the archive channel's up. And and like you're watching like your debut in like the old in the AfterBuzz studios.
Oh, the AfterBuzz, right?
That's where you and
the Nost
debut. Yeah. Skeleton Strange New World's #1 fan. Thank you so much for the very kind super chats. Considering hate casts have 500,000 to 1 million subscribers, is there a pressure on podcasters to do as the Romans do and blast everything as a product of lefty woke content? Is hate more profitable? It's not. That is not a unfair question. It is a very
of course it isn't unfair.
It's a very fair question. Yes. And I think that's probably why people will get looped into that is why I'm telling you, like when I do criticisms, I do criticism in the way that I'm going to say, like, look, here are the things that I think work on this show, but here are the things that are not working for me. And for me, what is not working outweighs what is. Yeah. And when you say it like that, you shouldn't get, and I'm not saying that you're saying this to our viewer here, but you shouldn't get you're just going with what everyone is saying. It's like, no, there are people who are just doing, like, there's certain people who are just like, they weren't pulling anything from anything on views, and then they just start shitting on everybody and calling people shills and doing that, and then and then there you go. And that because that's what people do, and that's what people want to go and watch because there is a frustration on the way certain things are run. I think it's fair to say that, but there are sometimes when there's warranted criticisms, and there's times when it's just hate. But I do think that people will say, "Hey, it's not working for me. I'm trying to do reviews and nobody watches, but then I did one video shitting on somebody else and it does well, and they go down that dark side. The problem with that is you can't ever like anything, because if you do, it's off your brand.
Well, that's the truth. Is that that's the problem. Is like you got to have an incredible stomach for toxicity if you keep going down that path, because that audience constantly needs to be fed anger and hatred and upset or and anything, and you have to find it. You have to find it,
right?
Even in a great, how to say that? I won't say great, but even in a damn good episode like the recent episode of The Acolyte, people found little things to nitpick about it because they have to have something.
I found stuff to nitpick, and I wasn't hating it.
Yeah, well, no, I'm saying, but you don't have a hate channel. I'm saying the people who run because I guarantee you they didn't say I loved this. Like I watched somebody put on Twitter this guy who broke down the lightsaber fight, this fucking super nerd laughing his ass off at the hard work of these these artists and stunt people and choreographers. And that little nerd's gonna stand there and make fun of them. I was like, shut the fuck up. You know, it's that kind of shit that you're just like, why? Like, what is feeding this hatred within you? And then if you push back at them, they call you a bully. They call you the bully, which is of course projection. And you're right. There are people who couldn't pull shit for views, but all of a sudden they start crapping on Star Wars or crapping on people who like Star Wars. And all of a sudden they're getting all kinds of followers and stuff. And then they're being like, oh, guys, thank you so much for helping me cross 20,000 subscribers. You guys love my work. You're a toxic fool. What the hell? So anyway, yeah.
I don't even know what you're talking about there. But exactly. Gene Burns watched yesterday the movie. If that happened right now, what movie could you make from beginning to end from memory? Probably Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
From memory?
I think so. Because I watched the movie so many times now.
I'd probably Major League.
Oh yeah, that's what you're probably doing too.
Star Trek 2, and I think Shawshank Redemption.
Wow,
those three. Oh, and Rocky 4. Woo!
Yeah, any of the Rocky movies.
Even me and you could do that from beginning to end, line by line.
You know what? I just started watching. I just started watching with my 12-year-old was Bill and Ted, the first one.
Oh, nice.
And I wanted to see because she's into Stranger Things, and she was like talking about 80s movies. And I was like, you want to watch a good one with me? And she goes, Dad, this movie's ridiculous. She goes, in the best way possible. Like, yes. Okay, next one.
Yeah.
Colin C. Disney should have hired Star Wars Theory years ago. Well, I don't know look, what I will tell you is that I will say his Vader film was fucking really good. The first Vader film was really, really good. But I don't think they're going to hire any fans. I don't think they're going to do it. Artem Shakaraman. Should Star Wars fans look at Legends as something that doesn't exist? Bundy age, Darth Plagueis, name is canon, but his full backstory and species is legend. So if Disney made Chimera Darth Plagueis, no one should be upset, right? So you could, but the question is then, how does he not age even? I mean, I guess, it's 100 years beforehand, so he'd have to be, is he not human? Yeah. If he was Darth Plagueis, he'd be 100 and, 20 years old or 30 years old by the time he starts training Palpatine along those lines. So I don't know if you can necessarily do that, but no, the species isn't. But I think that there's certain things that I don't know, because look, you go back to Ki-Adi-Mundi and you look at his age. Does that species age like that? When you look, the problem was the answer they gave for that. And it was, well, Yoda wasn't available, so we used someone else. And it's like, that should not be the answer.
It doesn't compute.
No. But I don't know. How do you feel about it, John? Do you think, first of all, do you think Manny could be Darth Plagueis, and would you be okay with that?
I guess, because I'm not as tied to the Darth Plagueis thing as other people are. Like, people are really into the Darth Plagueis. I know the Darth Plagueis story, but I don't it's like, oh, you better do it right. I don't have that kind of obsession. And Legends is Legends. It is not canon. So they can pick and choose what they want out of Legends. No matter how much you've read it and fallen in love with it and worship it, it's not canon to them. And so they're going to pick and choose what they want to pick and choose out of Legends for what works for their story. And people just have to deal with it, because Ki-Adi-Mundi's age was not canon. And so, they can do what they want with it. That's part of owning something. And so we'll see if they do. But I don't think he is Plagueis. I really don't. That would surprise me on so many levels.
He won't be.
Because I don't think he's the bad guy. I don't think he's the main bad guy. There's one more.
No, unfortunately, I do. Like, I think my original prediction is going to be right.
Is that there's a master above him?
It's going to be the witch. The other.
Oh, witch. You think Coral? You think Coral? Coral.
The other the mother, the second mother.
Yeah.
Not Jodie Turner-Smith. I think because the whole thing with the my mother used to be able to do that. And it's like, oh no. And like, you're going to make the main, it makes me nervous.
I would be surprised if but I think they work together, and that's why she survived the attack there. I think she brought him in to go against the Jedi, and then that's why they killed. But I think David,
maybe you're right. Let's see. Francisco Lopez, y'all crazy. I would move Dune 3, and I love Dune movies, but Star Wars is Star Wars, no matter how bad, it's still Star Wars, especially Star Wars film. Yeah, but what you're not looking at is this. If you're Star Wars, you're the average person. What I will agree with is they're going to hear Star Wars and, I gotta go see this in the movie. Right. I gotta see this in the movie theater. But if you're Disney, you don't want that kind of competition with Dune, because Dune has now built up an audience. Dune has now built up a critical audience as well too. People are going, you've gotten quality. Plus, Denis Villeneuve is one of the best, if not the best, filmmaker out there right now.
Yeah.
So if you're Dune, yeah, okay, we'll go up against Star Wars, and it's like that's fine. We've already done our thing. People want to see this movie. Star Wars is in this place where, yeah, you're gonna get the average person. Oh, it's a Star Wars movie. It's just Star Wars, and those people will go see the movie.
It's crazy.
But, yeah, I wouldn't want any competition at all if I'm Star Wars at this point, especially not Dune. So yeah, I'm moving out of the way if I'm Star Wars. Yeah. Okay, so we're moving on here too. Again, more questions coming in. Thank you guys so much. Here's the next one. And Nick Alexander, should Star Wars try and do one live action and one animated show a year? Let the writers focus on one project at a time, also one movie at a time. I actually have changed my tune significantly when it comes to, I think Star Wars should do one TV show every 2 years and one movie every 3 years for now.
Wow.
And just focus on getting it good again.
Yeah. What was the thing that people, I mean, I think Ellis used to complain about this, that he missed the anticipation, the wait for. Yeah. So yeah, you might be right, man, that we start playing the longer game like they used to instead of the immediate gratification game, because clearly they're getting smoked by that.
Well, the reason I was always so into it, the idea of Dune 1, is because I was in the Marvel phase. The Marvel was doing it so well for those first 3 phases, and like, yeah, all the canon and the continuity, and you're working like a TV show, and it's like, but Marvel was paying really great attention to everything that they were doing. Right. Star Wars has been, whether you change the canon or not change the canon from Legends, have been farting up timelines and certain things. The Leia story inside of, and that little girl was wonderful in that show, but it was an unnecessary storyline with her.
Oh, Leia?
Yeah, the Benny Hill scene. Did you watch that yet? Have you seen that yet?
Oh yeah.
It's so good. But all that stuff, and like, it's so messy that, like, don't put more of it out because you haven't really gotten an idea of how to do it.
Yeah.
Mirror Domains. How do studios deal with 100 million bombs like Horizon? Well, as we said, the Warner Brothers doesn't have to deal with anything.
Yeah.
They didn't put the money up for it, so they're not losing money. It's like they're basically just saying, as John said, they're in the Kevin Costner business. Yeah, we'll distribute your movie, no problem.
That's factored into business. Like, that's factored into the businesses every year with studios. Like, okay, this is what we want to be in business. All that stuff is factored into their bottom line constantly. And the reason they took this gamble on is, as I said, to be in the Kevin Costner business, but also because it wasn't going to cost them anything. Same thing happened. Lionsgate is distributing Megalopolis, the Coppola film. Coppola's putting $20 million of his own money into the marketing. You know, he already, and that's the only reason Lionsgate signed on to distribute it. No one else was going to distribute this film, studio-wise, that was big, until Coppola said, you know what, 20 million, I'll do that towards the marketing.
Exactly. So that particular thing, they don't really lose any money. So Carlton Rudder, London Calling. What's up, Carlton? If Dune Part 3 is as good or even better than 1 and 2, could we be looking at the best trilogy of all time? It's hard for me to say yes on that, even though I would understand if someone wanted to say yes on that, because I don't see, and I've gotten an argument from Roxy on this and other people too, I don't really see Dune 1 and Dune 2 as 2 separate movies. I see it as one big movie that he made in general, but I can understand the argument for it. But 1 and 2 are the same book. It's the same story.
Well, do you feel that way about The Hobbit? Like all
Yeah,
three of those films, it's basically one long 9-hour
It's the
film.
same book.
Okay.
You know, I maybe what was the other one that I said more so? Like, well, a better example I think is
Mhm.
the last 2 Harry Potter movies.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't see the last 2 Harry Potter movies as 2 different movies. I see it as one big movie because it's part 1 and part 2. Now, Dune, I would see Dune as 2 movies once it's over. And I know because part 1, part 2, if you watch it as one continuous story, 3 is going to be a completely different story. It's not connected to it, so it's hard. But if
There's a
someone
time
if somebody wanted to say you're an idiot, it's 3 movies, and yeah, it counts. I would also say you're probably right.
What
Yeah.
does shooting them back to back count? Like, cause like
No, that would be the opposite of why. Because like in the same way, I mean, look, Back to the Future 2 and Back to the
that's what I was
Future.
going to ask you about. They shot back to back.
Yeah, but those are 2 different stories. They're 2 different stories. 2, he's trying to do. He's got to go to the future. He's got to go back to 1955 again, and then he loses Doc, right?
Yeah.
And then now the whole 3rd movie is all about the Western storyline. The whole
Well, maybe
thing.
they're 2 different movies because there's not source material for it, right? There's not like,
Yeah,
that's
true.
where,
True.
I think that's where your logic has
Yeah.
the strongest point. Yeah.
All right, Haskell, you can each pick any 5 actors and actresses for a remake Cannonball Run with Jackie Chan returning. I pick Clooney, Pitt, Damon, Kimmel, Burr, Ellis, Kelsey, Swift. Hold on.
What?
Ellis Kelsey?
Travis Kelsey?
Ellis Kelsey?
Mark Ellis?
I think so. I got lost there. Wig and McKinnon. Ed, you've been watching this show long enough to know by doing an on the spot 5 actors, directors, and all that stuff. I can't think of that on the spot right now. 5 actors and actresses. I mean, for that actual remake. I mean, comedy wise, I mean, there's just so many. There's people that I know that I'm going to say, you know, who would be great in that, and I forgot to bring them up was this person.
Yeah.
You know, like who's got really someone I was just talking about recently who's got great comedic timing, just really, really good. You wouldn't expect it. I can't remember, but that's hard for me to say. But I think your choices are good. I like the Clooney. I'd probably put Channing Tatum is a good one too. I think.
Yeah, Tatum's good. I'd remove Kimmel. Bird definitely. Aaron Bird definitely. I mean, Aaron Burr. Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
Bill Burr.
Yeah, that's a tough one though, Ed.
Lin-Manuel's got or one of the Latino like Pedro or Oscar Isaac. One of those guys has got to be in there.
Yeah. He follows it up. Excited to see Karate's Bad Boy is also back. Mike Barnes coming back. That's good.
Possibly.
Okay. I'm sure he will. He was good in the show too. I might be having I always usually get 1 to 5 of the actors when the new season comes out, and there's only a few that I haven't actually interviewed, whether in person or on streaming. So I think I'm getting one that I haven't done before.
Nice.
Kaya and Mundy. Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
How old are you, Kiati?
I know. How old are you? You didn't put that in next. Thank you so much. It was very kind of you. I really appreciate it. Trevor Jenkins coming in hot. Do you think Disney would ever consider licensing out the Star Wars IP to a studio like Apple or Amazon? I think if they were ever to consider, we'd have a richer, more mature story. The answer is, do I think that you're right? And have I been saying about going to Apple and doing Amazon? I think it would be the most wonderful thing to wake up to if they did. Do I think it'll happen? You got a better chance of John Rocha telling me that he's never going to watch soccer ever again.
Yeah.
And that he has now become a New York Giants fan. You have a better chance of that happening than them licensing out. Right now, they don't think anything's wrong. I don't think they think anything's wrong over there. I really don't.
Yeah. They think it's the fans who don't get it and are upset about it.
Yeah. I really don't think they think anything's wrong. I think that, if you tell I really don't. Okay, next one.
He's determined to do a Ray movie. It's very clear that Kennedy is determined to do a Ray movie.
Look, I understand it. To quote the announcers in Rocky 3, I understand the strategy. I understand the strategy. I mean, it's like, if you look at it, if you're a producer like Kennedy is, and you go, okay, I need a win. I really need a win because I haven't had my Indiana Jones movie had a big pile of shit. I haven't had a Star Wars movie in the theaters since episode 9. My TV shows are in, who knows what kind of money I'm doing there. I haven't done a movie. I'm a film producer and I haven't produced a film, a successful film in almost 5 years.
Yeah.
I need something big. Well, let me look at my numbers. I have the Star Wars brand. The last 3 Star Wars movies that I did that inside of this franchise, not inside of the episodes, all had Daisy Ridley in them, not including Rogue One. They all had Daisy Ridley in them. I'm going to call Daisy Ridley back.
Of course.
Of course, you understand the strategy behind it. The question is, do people care as much about it? And I still think the movie will do well, and I think people do care about Daisy Ridley, but we'll see. Skeleton Strange New World's #1 fan. How do podcasts with large followings that don't take super chats and don't have sponsors earn money? I don't get the economics. I don't know of any large podcasts with large followings that don't have sponsors.
Yeah.
I don't know any podcast. Like if you're a large podcast and you don't have sponsors, you are doing something wrong.
Yeah, that's very true.
Every podcast, every large podcast has it. Now the super chat side of it is like where I said what I was going to do in because I was doing when we had the Streamlabs for the Schmobot, that turned me off from doing anything like that ever again because the show became a telethon. I've talked about that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do something where if John and I could do all the movie topics, everything too, and get an opportunity to hear from the fans and to do it that way, that to me is a win-win. So, but as far as like the podcast with large followings, they earn it. Well, and if they're on YouTube, they'll earn from both AdSense and sponsors.
Yeah.
Like you can't have a large podcast and not. The goal is like they'll tell you that in podcasting 101. The goal is to get an audience so you get sponsors. And then the other part of it is always get sponsors that you think your audience will enjoy. That's why you only to like people, they'll come to you and they'll say, hey, the ad agencies, hey, we have this person. And you can't even tell you how many times I've said, I don't think my audience is going to respond to that. I don't think my audience will like that. I don't think the audience will care about it. And I say, I don't think that's right for the show. It might be right for somebody else.
Yeah, and the other aspect, somebody mentioned Rogan. Rogan's getting paid by Spotify, and he's getting paid by Spotify because Rogan
has sponsors, by the way.
And he has sponsors. He elevates the presence of Spotify, other people's podcasts, benefits, and the sponsors they're putting on those podcasts benefit from that. Sure. But don't forget about Patreon. A lot of these big YouTube have Patreon, and Patreon. They make a lot of money off Patreon.
Rogan has. Did someone say Rogan doesn't have sponsors?
Yeah, someone said Rogan to.
What are you talking about? I was listening to Rogan not too long ago, and AG1, a few other ones popped up.
Stern has fucking sponsors.
Yeah. Yes, that's how Rogan 100% has sponsors. Okay, next one. Don Reynolds, just standing support. Thank you, Don. That was very kind.
Thank you, Don.
And we get Mad Sinister Macau, an overrated movie you hate. Everybody loves and why. We did that one. Didn't we do that one recently? Recently. And I can't remember what the answer was, but something that somebody. The one that I did was Just Friends. That was the one that I did.
Yeah.
Always do that one. People love that movie. I think the movie smells like farts. And you said Goonies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think they said Goonies Part 2 is coming up.
40 years later.
Yeah. Luke Skywalker. Will Deadpool and Wolverine, will it crack $1 billion? I certainly, well, look, all I needed to do was crack 750 and John's going to get me steak dinner. I might let you change it though. I might let you change it.
Don't let me do it. I don't need your pity. I don't need your sympathy.
You don't want to hear my deal?
What's your deal? My
deal was going to be after I win that, because I don't know in the next time, if I might probably be back in LA at some point, but then we could do it when I see you there, or I just can do a reduced fee and you can just send DoorDash to my place.
A reduced fee. Listen to you.
Yeah. I'm going to win. You know that. I'm going to win.
I don't know.
You stop this. So Don Reynolds McWhiskey. Bongiorno's New York Pizzeria on Podway Road is good. It's good. Okay. That's good. Okay.
I'll find it.
You'll find it in New York?
No, Poway Road is San Diego.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Yeah.
Take a look, Don.
Yeah. Take a look. You should also do this. You should check, Barstool's the One Bite Pizza. You should see if he's ever done San Diego.
Oh, yeah. I should take a look at it.
Check. Matt Sinister McCall, Long Legs trailer was scary. You seeing the movie? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, it's a horror film that Jeff's been talking about as well. Okay. It's pretty intense. We'll see.
Okay. Simon section. Kristian, John, are we both in agreement that if Star Wars and Dune both open on the same date, you watch Star Wars first and then Dune Messiah, save the best for last? Not a bad point. I mean, look, John and I are going to have we always have the benefit of seeing them because it's what we do for our jobs, right? So do I hope the screening for Star Wars comes in first? And do I hope that Dune comes in second? Yeah, probably. Again, depending on which movie it is that comes out. And depends on the trailers too. Yeah. It depends on the trailers. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that that's something that can come out and say, okay, those trailers a little bit more. I mean, there is something to be said. Can you imagine though? And it'll never happen. I know it, but like, imagine if the movie was actually really great and that it actually did like the hate channels and everybody else is like, hey, listen, this is a good movie. Yeah, whatever they did, they listened up and they made a good movie here. So I can't shit on this one because this one's pretty good. Yeah. And they have like all that and actually kind of kumbaya moment, but I don't think it's happening. No. Stephen Thomas, what about the rumor that Filoni actually supervised some shoots of The Acolyte? Maybe not Penske material, though he took smaller office. That's what you've been talking about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the writers already came out and said that, and she then turned off her social media, but she said that Filoni absolutely chimed in on all the scripts. So I'm not surprised if he shot some of the sections. I'm not surprised at all, which is why I think that needs to come out. You know, leaving Leslie to hang in the wind and take all the shit while he sits back with his feet up on the desk is bullshit. He's got to take some hits as well. You a man? Take your hits. It frustrates me that he's letting her hang out in the wind when he knows he's done some shit that hasn't been good.
Well, wait a minute. But wait a minute. That goes back to what we were.
If it's true.
Well, wait a minute. Even if it is true, that goes back to what you and I were just talking about.
What's that?
They don't think anything's wrong with it. They think the show is great.
Yeah, fair point.
The show is great. They think that it's they're happy with the way it is. They're happy with the changes that they've made. They think that it's worked for the best. I do think, and like I said, and it's a very big change for me from whatever it was 7-8 years ago, that I think that Filoni should stick to doing what he does. He should not be in charge of the whole thing. He's got too much of a clouded view of what Star Wars is, I think.
Well, do the animated stuff because maybe the live action isn't working out for it. That's the better.
Again, I bet you the argument would come against that from that side of it. All right, Mad Sinister McCall. Kyle Mundi gave you $50 super. He's still a punk.
That's $50 Mexican. That's not $50 American. It's two different things.
It was still nice.
Yeah, of course it was.
It was still nice. All right, here's another one. This is Ronetta. Ronetta's coming in. Nice to see Ronetta.
Hey, Ronetta.
I love The Quiet Place, and I like how it ended. Lupita's a phenomenal actress. Happy for Inside Out 2. I can't wait for Deadpool. Yeah, I was really. It was a nice change for me. So I went and it was also great. Was like because the movie takes place in New York. So I saw it in Manhattan.
Nice.
Which was it added to the experience. Like getting right, walking from Penn Station to the movie theater, getting to the movie theater, walking in there, sitting down, and then it comes up and it's first scenes like Manhattan. I'm like, oh, it felt like it was like one of those kind of immersive experiences. It was pretty great.
Yeah.
Pretty great. Al Renshek. All of the last 3 Star Wars movies were not a win. Force Awakens was good, but Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker was mid and very divisive. Rogue One was good. They were a win for business wise. So I don't disagree with you that they're not a win for the overall sanctity of the brand.
Yeah.
But if you're Disney and you're looking back at those movies, financially they're all a win. All 4 of those movies are a win. Solo's the only one that's a loss. Yeah. And yet John Hoey's still tagging Make Solo 2 happen, even when knowing it's the biggest Star Wars box office disaster of all time.
I love Johnny, but
I love John.
I don't understand that.
Yeah. Stay away from that tag. Anyway, but Rogue One was good. Force Awakens was good, but I feel the same way. I don't go back and watch any of those movies because even though I liked Force Awakens when it came out, those movies just what's coming afterwards. In the same way that I never watched the when you watch Hunger Games, after you watch Catching Fire, right? When you watch a movie, Mockingjay is just not a good book and it's not a good movie. And you're like, it all leads to this. I don't want to rewatch this shit. And it's the same thing, but business wise, absolutely was a win. There's no arguing.
Yeah, I only go back to watch Force Awakens, and then I'll watch scenes from the other 2 films, but not the whole thing.
Yeah. All right, Jonathan. We know the Batman Part 2 shoots early next year for sure.
We don't know that. I don't know where you're getting that.
All right. You think Fraser will be able to come back with Dune 3 also? I think that he's going to do everything possible to get him back, as he should. He will come back, and we don't necessarily know when Batman Part 2 is shooting now. I think it got pushed back. Okay, next one. Leslie Headland says, this is from Artem Shakmaran. Leslie Headland said that season 1 of The Acolyte has a definitive ending. Over under 60% that season 2 will happen. I'm going to go under. I'll
go under right now.
I'm going to go under because if you're Bob Iger, you've got to say, Can we get something that everyone loves, please? And it's like, and yeah, you're always going to get you're never going to get that, Bob. But all right, fine. Can we get something that people love the same way they like season 1 and season 2 and Rogue One? Can we do that? Is that possible? Like, that's what I would say. If finish this season up, and look, all eyes are going to be on Skeleton Crew here.
Yeah.
Do you hearing anything about Skeleton Crew?
No.
Okay.
Not much.
Okay.
I don't think Skeleton Crew's a kid show. I don't think
It's not a kid show.
he's in charge of kids. So yeah, they'll have some darkness to it.
Is Stranger Things a kid show?
I think the first couple of seasons are a kid show.
Oh, you're crazy.
And then it becomes a little more adult and they're dealing with real shit. All right. The first 2 Harry Potter films, those are kids' films. And
I
then
would give you that more so over Stranger Things being a kid show. All right. Galaxy Geeks. What's up, man?
What's up?
John, have you watched Superman and Lois? It's amazing.
Look, one of my friends was an EP on the show.
Okay.
And he has ridden me pretty hard the last few days that I have not watched past the first 2 episodes. So I will be now committed to watching at least 1 or 2 episodes a day.
People love it. People love it.
Superman and Lois. He is very clear that I should love that show. So
people love it.
I know.
Love that show.
Adam keeps on me about it too.
Yeah. Shay Markel. I'm loving the films being released, but I can't shake my disappointment in some of the casting. I have a desire to see new blood instead of casting Chris Pratt for everything. Any thoughts? Yeah, I mean, look, that happens, and whether it's Chris Pratt, Timothy Chalamet, now it's going to be Glenn Powell,
Pedro
Pascal. Every single time that there's someone that's hot, those are the names that come up. And before his problems, Jonathan Majors was another guy that was thrown in for everything right now because he was the hot guy. So I do think that there are times where you got to be able to pull back and say, yeah, we know that person is real famous right now and real hot, but it's not going to serve it because all people are going to see is, oh, that's Chris Pratt. Right. So I think that there's ways to do it, but I'm with you. But which one was he likes the films in general that are being released?
Yeah, he's the voice of Garfield. That's what people.
Yeah, I understand. But I think things like that, I'm a little bit more passive. I didn't give a shit that he played Mario, and I thought Mario, my little one, just watched Mario again. I like that movie, man.
That's a good movie. I don't know what the critics were watching. That's a damn good movie.
I like that movie. It's a cute movie, and the critics had their nose stuck up for that one. Yes, boy. Coy is on to something. Could Claudia Dumit, on The Boys, be a good cast for Talia al Ghul? Could be.
Depends on what you want to do with her. This gets into some minefield territories. I think Claudia is a damn good actress, and I love her on The Boys. Do I think she exudes that sexuality that Talia should exude? I don't necessarily see that, but of course that's subjective. I don't personally see it. I think there's another actress you could possibly find who radiates that a bit more. Now, it doesn't mean that Claudia isn't attractive. She's certainly very attractive. Her and Jack Quaid, congratulations, they're seeing each other. But from what I understand, but I don't necessarily see that vibe. I mean, who did we have? What's her name? I forget her name. The one in Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, Marianne Cotillard.
Yeah, we had Marianne Cotillard. Now that woman is sexy. That's Talia.
Yeah, but she with one of the worst deaths.
I know, 100%. I don't know how they let that go, but
he talks about it on Capes and Callus in front. It's just like all the takes. Nolan's like, Nolan goes, I went on vacation for 1 day. 1 day. And I said, pick the shot. It's fine. Just pick the good death shot. 1 day. I went, and you picked that one. He's like, it's the worst. It's the worst. All right, last one here.
Yeah.
Al Wrench. If WB did Cursed Child easy, a $1.4 billion movie. I mean, I don't know if it's easy 1.4, but I certainly think that there's a chance it makes a lot of money. I'm also very curious to see how this streaming show comes out.
Yeah.
So I think it that streaming show is coming out within the next year and a half, 2 years, I think, right?
Yeah. I mean, now that they've got a showrunner, which I broke.
Yeah. All right, we did it. So
hey.
John, thank you for joining us here, John. And you got a lot going on your channel, man. Let us know what's the dealio.
Yeah, come on, guys. Head on over to the Outlaw Nation, youtube.com/John Rocha says. A lot going on over there. Some new Geek Buddy stuff. We dropped our review for The Boys yesterday. I just dropped my reaction to the new Cobra Kai trailer that's up now. And then later you'll see my reaction to House of the Dragon from last night. We'll have the review tomorrow as well. A lot going on, plus the Jedi Away, plus the hot mic, of course, with Jeff and I. We might do a pre-recorded one this week, possibly. And then, of course, my other podcast, The Cinephiles, which you all can download as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, brother. It's great to see you always.
Can you, before you run, what's this one? It's Jonathan says Andy Serkis confirmed it a few days ago. Confirmed what?
Yeah, Andy Serkis, the shooting of Batman. But he can say whatever he wants. He's not shooting it, and he's not the studio. So,
okay. All right. Well, John, all right, get out of here before you bite someone's head off. All right.
Bye.
All right. Thank you guys for joining me. Thanks for John for being here. And as always, please hit that subscribe button if you're brand new to the channel. Thank you, everybody who put in questions today. Thank you for everybody who's part of the live chat. Thank you if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you're into the UAP phenomenon, we have a channel, Down to Earth with Kristian Harloff. That's where UAP Tuesday lives now. I've got some great interviews coming up really soon. As mentioned, I got Sam Merle coming on with myself and Roxy. We'll be doing an interview there, which will be great. I had on John Mazzilli, who is the shoot, I just lost my train of thought. I had some other Christmas Mazzilli. Just lost my train of thought. Where if you watch Robert Downey Jr. Sweepstakes, he does the he's co-host, and he also is the co-owner of the Gotham Comedy Club. We had a great conversation. I'm going to put that on the channel this week. We have so much going down, and I'd like to thank our sponsors. I'd like to thank everybody else who's been a part of it this week, and I can't wait for you guys to see everything we got coming out. The House of the Dragon, I am going to be doing a spoiler review that will go up a little later on today. I just got to put that together, and I'll put that out. And that's it, man. So thanks for joining us here. You guys are the best. We'll see you guys very, very soon. You're the wonderful, wonderful crew, and I love you so much, and I appreciate it. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.